You crest a low hill in the forest, finding it lit by scattered hellfire. In the center, a demon of the old world unfurls its wings, welcoming you to your last breath. Good evening. Welcome to May 2026. Zero Means You're Dead. I'm your host, SM Hillman. Most people call me Sean, but professionally it's still SM Hillman. We are stretching our legs a bit tonight, expanding on the kind of content Zero covers. The show is evolving, and we will continue to evolve, and because we believe in science, and we here at Going to Now appreciate your support. I may start taking a different approach to the villain monologue in the future as well. I've always wanted ZMYD to have opinions, not hot takes, not garbage, low-hanging fruit. I do give playing advice, but it's not about that. Where are we going? Not entirely sure, but I know when we get there. Tonight we are going to touch on some tougher subjects and start off with wishing well a couple of folks who have shed their mortal coils. As always, I think we did well to vet everything below, but if you find inaccuracy, we are happy to make changes and do better, always better. Now with the show. A couple sad notes. Earlier this month, Jodi Black passed away. I did not know Jodi or her husband, Clint, but I know people who know both. Jodi wore a number of hats for Pinnacle Entertainment Group. And let me just read a little bit from a letter posted on the Pinnacle Entertainment Group website by CEO Shane Lacey Hensley. Jodi was a critical and irreplaceable part of our team. Her passing is a devastating loss for all who knew her, but her legacy is also deeply inspirational. She brought nothing but light into the world, and it's on us to carry it forward. I know I'm a much better person for having met her. I will strive to remember that and keep her spark alive for the remainder of my days. And we do have links to the dedication page in the show notes. Also, this I believe was today. Dario Corallo, I believe I got that right. Dario Corallo is a longtime contributor to the world of Gloriantha, associated with Chaosium's RPG RuneQuest through his art and friendships with a number of creators. The world of publishing is in mourning. Dario, illustrator, graphic designer, has passed away at the age of 66 after many years as employee of the Gemelli di Sicilia. I do believe I got that right. Throughout his career, he managed layouts and collaborated in the creation of cartoons and graphic content. The news of his passing has caused sorrow among his colleagues and those who knew him to be the world of information and editorial graphics. Reports Assistanta. For his many colleagues, Dario was a free spirit, sharp intellect, brilliant mind, and irreverent genius, the best kind, capable of always leaving a mark, a smile, a thought outside the box. There are a lot of, if you're part of the Gloriantha community, the request community, there's a lot of people talking about Dario today. So our condolences to Jodi and Dario's families and friends, and we wish them the best and whatever lies beyond. All right, so let's go ahead and do something a little bit happier. There is going to be a Traveling Dragon tabletop cruise LA to Ensenada, Mexico, August 3rd through the 7th. We'll, I want to take this. I want to take this up here for a moment before taking us back down. My guest today will be speaking about the Traveling Dragon tabletop cruise because she will be a part of it. That's Amber Davies, Amber Davies, whose interview we will catch in a little bit. It sounds like a fun time, a cruise where you can play games, and if you feel adventurous, you can go outside in the sun, which I know a lot of gamers are not. But hey, it's a chance to see the Evil Daystar firsthand. But yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. Hopefully, the cruise will catch on as an idea and offer a different opportunity for people to play games in different environments and with different people. Okay. Wizards of the Coast Magic the Gathering Arena Team Union. It's not an esports team. The May 4th is an exciting day in the history of Magic the Gathering Arena. We reading from their website. We, the workers of the Arena team, have come together to unionize the United Wizards of the Coast (CWA). Last week, it's been a couple weeks. A supermajority of eligible arena workers signed union cards to pledge their support. Earlier this morning, that's on May 1st, we informed WoTC leadership of our intent to unionize and called on the company to voluntarily recognize our union. Now, there's the update for May 4th. I'm just giving you a little bit from the site. We have it linked. You can go and check out their letters yourself, and I encourage you to do so. May 4th, in our letter to management this past Monday, we called on Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro to take the high road and voluntarily recognize our union by Friday, May the 1st. That deadline has now come and gone with no direct response from the company. Management claims to be committed to ensuring every person is heard, valued, and supported. However, when we spoke up about our desire to unionize, they responded only to the press. And our link is in the latest press release. So as far as I know, as far as today goes, there has been no direct response to the union from Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro. If that changes, we'll try to keep you updated. Let's take a quick break. Seeing some pretty nerdy. Woo, yes. Thank you. For those who don't know, that is Amber M. Davies. My apologies, Amber. And Jenna saying hi too. Hi, Jenna. Okay. On with more news from the Wizards of the Coast. I want to credit WoTC CEO Chris Cox, CKS, not with X. I want to credit Ian World article, and the author of that was Christian Hoffler. And the original article from Games Radar, the writer was Benjamin Abbott. Chris Cox isn't shy about plans to move Dungeons and Dragons to a more live service model of gaming. This one I'm reading is from the N-Word. In a recent interview with Games Radar, Cox explicitly said that it makes sense, in quotes, for players to shift their mindset towards a live service due to the high amount of players using digital services, which is, I think, demonstrably not true. But assured the interviewer that books will still be produced by Hasbro. When asked if Wizards is moving away from books in favor of a more piecemeal release schedule, following the announcement of D&D Beyond's new Drops service, which we will not be covering, books will always be an important part of D&D, Cox said. It will always be a kind of like a special totem that you can collect. I have a big bookshelf of D&D books myself. So I'm going to take a moment here to comment on this. I'm not judging Chris Cox as a gamer or as an RPG gamer. You RPG game the way you want to do it, and that's fine. And clearly, obviously, there is a growing, especially since the pandemic, there's been a growing use of online services like D&D Beyond. But don't let them fool you. They've been trying to get Dungeons and Dragons online since fourth edition, back in 2008, 2009, 2010, etc. And that didn't really work then. They've had a failed VTT. The current one used in D&D Beyond is called Maps. It's not very good, but it doesn't have to be. That's not really a criticism of the Maps team. It just doesn't have many of the features that other VTTs do. They had a 3D VTT that was in the works, and frankly, they just abandoned that completely. So this idea, and it's been said on a couple of different places, that I specifically saw on Mastering Dungeons, Teos and Sean Merwin, Taste of Body and Sean Merwin's show. Teos mentioned that this is, and I think he also mentioned it on his own podcast, that it's actually about 33% of people, according to polls, are using digital as opposed to being face to face. And I'm not going to wax poetic about the idea that RPGs began as face to face gaming, obviously, because I don't think that's relevant, right? I don't think it's relevant that where you started is necessarily where you end up. I game online all the time. Since the leg, I haven't been able to get out to do RPGs as much, or at all, really. But even prior to that, I gamed a lot online as well. But I didn't always use something like D&D Beyond. People still use books, and just the idea that we'll be going away from print, others call it paper, I just call it print, seems ludicrous to me. And it feels to me that they're trying to push playing Dungeons and Dragons into that digital realm for the majority of play, and that doesn't make any sense. Inevitably, D&D Beyond will lose interest or it'll lose favor with members. The company CEOs and board members change all the time, and they'll probably raise prices. And currently, right now, even $1 a month more will force some people to drop out because it's not worth it. I don't think that you should get everything for free. I don't think so at all. I don't mind paying a little bit for the content that's on there, absolutely. But I think that there is a price point where I would drop out, and it wouldn't really affect my gaming at all. So that's just something to think about. Okay, more fun times. Dungeon Master of Disaster? Question mark. Ken Whitman's AI bios stir TTRPG chaos. This is an article from Tabletop Sentinel, and was written by Angus Abramson. Angus, I apologize if that's not how you say your last name. Here we go. I'm going to give you a snippet of the article. Some of you may already know Ken Whitman. Ken Whitman is no stranger to controversy. There's even a website dedicated to tracking his adventures. His latest venture, which has been causing quite a bit of upset and anger among a number of gaming industry professionals, is a Facebook page and website, which is called 4 Pillars, I believe, that is full of AI-generated bios and portraits of TTRPG designers, artists, writers, and company owners. Despite claiming he had found a way to create the AI product, produced bios that not only read as AI-generated work, but also contained a mix of truths, rumors, and outright incorrect information to the way that AI scouts the internet for data, or scours the internet for data. I guess just my glasses up. Yeah. The article, excuse me. The article is linked in our show notes, but also the website that talks about Ken's alleged transgressions. It's a fun read. We also have linked the EN World article that is also discussing it. So if you're interested, there's more information there for you. Okay, so something that looked better. Action Heroes is back in print. Action Heroes is a collaborative tabletop role-playing game where you play superheroes, action heroes, and other larger-than-life characters who have powers and abilities beyond mortal ken. that allow them to make their world into a better place. With the world how it is today, we need people who are bettering the world, and if you can't do that in reality, you can do that in a game. It should be noted, full disclosure, this Christopher Helton, who is the author of the game, has been on the show. We interviewed Christopher. He used to be my editor at EN World, and we consider him a friend. We have actually played Action Heroes. I get to play for once and hit the dice here on the channel as well, and that was a good time. So it's back in print. Links in the description. I'm not called a doodly do. That's somebody else's. That's somebody else's gig. Okay, so now you get to see Sean having a little bit of fun, but also a little bit of frown. Free League. Well, here we go. Elric returns to the tabletop in the upcoming Legends of Stormbringer role-playing game, powered by the Dragonbane mechanics. Yay, I like Dragonbane quite a bit. We're thrilled, Free League is, to finally announce the new officially licensed tabletop RPG based on the iconic fantasy works of Michael Moorcock, planned for release in 2027. Legends of Stormbringer will carry you into the Young Kingdoms, a world of dying empires, warring gods, and doomed heroes. And bringing Moorcock's richly imagined setting to the tabletop using rules mechanics that have made Dragonbane one of our most celebrated titles. Return to the Young Kingdoms as setting writer is Richard Watts, whose work on previous Stormbringer RPGs helped define how generations of our players have experienced Moorcock's world. I'm very happy to see this on a personal level. I do like Free League. I do like Dragonbane. I love Elric. Do I think it will work? Well, showing my nostalgia roots, I was a big fan of first edition Stormbringer, and some of you may know, some of you may not. I liked Magic World, which is essentially the third, fourth, and fifth edition. Well, third and fifth edition, and Elric, all from Chaosium. So systemically, I'm used to rolling low and things like that. So I think that'll work for Dragonbane. We'll see how the system comes together. But I have a lot of faith in Free League. So we hope for good things. Now it should be said, I believe the day before this was announced last week, Goodman Games is thrilled to announce a license agreement to publish official tabletop role-playing material based on Elric of Melniboné. It's not Melnibone, Mike Shea. It's Melniboné. The iconic sword and sorcery character and setting created by legendary author Michael Moorcock. The classic era of Elric will include a line of source books, adventures, maps, and additional supplements, all designed for compatibility with 5th edition and Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game systems. The project is scheduled to launch via crowdfunding in 2027. Products will be released following the successful campaign and be available at game stores worldwide. I have some thoughts. Obviously, we have a rich environment now of Elric coming to the table, probably by 2028, I imagine. Obviously, I'm not entirely the biggest fan of Goodman Games for some of their past associations, but your mileage may vary, and I'm not telling you should or shouldn't buy. However, putting my game designer and player hat on just for a second, I don't know that 5th edition and Dungeon Crawl are necessarily good fits for that kind of sword and sorcery. And that also comes obviously from a bias, right? I like the game at the versions of the game which were wildly unbalanced. And I think that worked perfectly for the setting material. Also, people may not remember something called Dragon Lords of Melniboné, which some people felt wasn't supported well, but I don't think really worked that well. And their choices were choices I didn't agree with. Right? It's not my game. I didn't design it. We're not putting any shade on the designers. but I don't think it worked very well. So anyway, if you're a fan of Elric or you're a fan of any of those systems, you are going to have games next year. Well, probably by 2028. Crowdfunding is coming next year. All right, we have a couple more. Tuscany. There have been RPGs before, but this sounds fun. I agree. And yes, we will be playing it here. At least one of them here on Hit the Dice. So we'll be playing here. Stefan Lear. Hello, Stefan. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. All right. So, on Clash, Provo, Utah, May 15th to 16th. It's right around the corner, so grab your ticket to get to Utah. From We Geek Together and the creator of Dead Wars, the Guinness World Record-breaking game of D&D with over 1,200 plus players, playing in the same session at the same time comes Clash, a rebranding of the same event. So, yeah, in a couple days, 2 days, you have 2 days to get your tickets and get over to Provo, Utah, to get to Clash. There is we do have a link for Clash in our notes, so hurry on down there. Yes, yeah. Yep, everybody likes getting murked by Stormbringer. Also, Virtual MagmaCon, July 2026. These two pieces of information do come from our guest tonight, Amber M. Davies. Thank you, Amber. Run by Savageverse Studios, Joe Incognito, not just an online gaming convention. There are panels, seminars, workshops, etc. Play online with folks from the industry, Gooey Cube, Luke Gygax, Kelly Williams, Moongate, and more. Also, Amber will be DMing. Playtest some of their new creations. Watch icons in the industry play on hard mode. It's a fun time. Amber was present for the winter version of the convention. CrossCon and MagmaCon is promising to be bigger and better. So that comes in July 2026. We have the link in the description. I believe they're still doing panels. And one thing real quick, I want to jump back to the cruise, although it will show up in our interview too. But we have a code for the Dragon Cruise that you can get $150 off, and I'll grab that here in a minute. Right. Let me grab it now. Oh yes, it's the code is Amber 150 for $150 off, and Amber says that she believes it still is valid. So we'll put that in the I'll put that in the notes as well. Okay. And Pretty Nerdy says, I've been to Dead Wars and it is wild. Awesome. Yeah, I hope people will get to go to that and have a good time. All right. So before we get into our Kickstarter news, well, in the ground crowdfunding in general, we are going to, assuming on, here we go. Joe was good enough. Joe was good enough to give us some more May new releases. So here we go. New releases for May 2026.
Shadow was known and see where they take me, waiting for my turn. Oh, when will I learn to take what's right in front of me? Oh, it started as a stolen kid. No, I never thought it would end up like this.
Bugs. They're remarkably small and come in more varieties than you could count, even if you happen to be particularly good at counting. They're also, since the advent of the Mysteriocalypse, the ones in charge. Oh, there are still cats and squirrels and fish, but humans having gone the way of the dinosaur, whatever that is, the world they left behind is decidedly more chitinous and scuttly than it used to be. And it's this new, bugly world that Pico lets you explore, by solving mysteries, by roaming through ruins, by battling beasts, and by riding cats, or other animals, trained as Pico Titans, friendly to adventurous bugs, and just as willing to wander. Pico is a tabletop role-playing game by Felix Isaacs, the creator of the WoTC, for 2 to 6 players, a Wild Words game about small adventures in a very, very big world.
Wow, the artwork in this is so beautiful.
The one thing that I am by far the most excited about when it comes to this tabletop RPGs are the background trees.
Oh my god, I cannot wait to play this.
I'm talking about oracles, I'm talking about encounter tables.
This is Draconim, a narrative-first fantasy tabletop role-playing game where you form deep emotional bonds with dragons who grow alongside you.
The baby dragons are so cute. That's a sick design right there.
I wanted to create a game where dragons were not just a stat block, but a living, breathing part of the world.
Dragons are the staple of all great fantasies.
It's going to be really cool to be able to be a solo player and do some really cool narrative stuff, forming bonds with your dragon.
The perfect way to play a solo campaign that centers around your character and a very fully realized dragon.
Draconim adapts to your table. Whether you're playing solo, GMless, or with a full party, the system is standalone, no matter how you want to play. I think the most exciting part for me was to create the spellcraft system. Draconim uses a system where you can create custom spells by choosing a technique and an augmentation. If you want to summon a cone of pigeons or create a smite that is imbued into an object, you can do that.
I can't say that I've ever seen anything quite like it.
Draconim is a narrative-first game. Every mechanic is built to serve the story.
You can completely create your own path through the system depending on what your character does in the game.
This is gonna be pretty sweet.
I am just really excited for you to join this adventure and do what I love every single day, which is to write adventures inside Acheroth. And I cannot wait to see what you come up with and the stories that you share with us.
Podium Audio presents Exploration, Book 10 of Welcome to the Multiverse. Written by Sean Oswald. Performed by Travis Baldry. The story so far. Induction. Welcome to the Multiverse, Book 1. Meet Silas, a 22-year-old who dropped out of college to be there for his mom and sister after the death of his father. It was a tough time, but tragedy turned to cautious optimism when they learned about an inheritance from his uncle. They believed Uncle Dan was insane, but he'd been a forerunner. A representative for Earth in a competition between 5 worlds. His first exposure to the competition came in the form of a man-sized, mana-infected squirrel with a taste for blood. Silas prevailed and gained access to the system, a mysterious, omnipresent guide that let him know what was what in the strangeness of this new Earth. After the fight, Silas formed a class combining elements of rogues, mages, and healers. But his new life wasn't all blood and gore. His first mission sent him to the dungeon world of Galen, where he made some new friends. a rogue named Dory, Nevin the Mage, and Crag, the aptly named warrior. Silas was tasked with putting an end to a war between two native races centered around the city of Proximus. The Keorgi were tiny humanoids, gifted with innate magical abilities, while the Delmen were the opposite, relying on size and brawn. It appeared the Delmen were the aggressors, bombarding the city filled with Keorgi civilians. After agreeing to help the Keorgi, his contact taught Silas how to better connect with the magic that permeated this world and others, resulting in an attunement to life mana.
Thank you, Joe, as always, for bringing us those new releases. And don't be surprised if you see Corkboard on Hit the Dice sometime this year, because that looks pretty fun. And who doesn't love Nordic Noir? Okay, so let's get to our new releases. Secrets of the Vibrant Sky. This is a crowdfunding campaign by Nerdburger Games and Craig Campbell. Craig has been on the show and has an episode of Hit the Dice. Craig is also a friend, just for full, everybody, so everybody knows. The Vibrant Sky is a place of wonder, mystery, and secrets. Your character has found their way to the vibrant realms and is now preparing to explore the Vibrant Sky, above the Vibrant Isle and the Vibrant Sea. Will they uncover the mysteries that will allow them to ascend and become a guardian of the vibrant realms? Secret of the Vibrant Sky is a solo tabletop role-playing game where you portray a character exploring a fantastical sky realm. And as you play the game, you'll improve your skyship, improve yourself, and explore many dozens of the sky's beautiful wonders and dark delights. It should be noted that these crowdfunders going through the Kickstarters first, and then the backer kit. So that way you can keep a little more ordered. Okay, so we do have here. Let me grab this piece. Turn it up. And grab something from friend of the show now, Jesse James Fain. And Jesse has an upcoming Kickstarter.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Jesse James Fain. I'm the founder of Assassin Inc., the creator of the Midnight Sea universe, and the author of Gravesinger, first entry in the world I am calling the Midnight Sea. Gravesinger aims not just to delight you with a series of singular novels, but also to expand a world that will go into anthologies, comics, and tabletop RPGs. We've got a lot more planned for you, and it all starts here. Thank you so much for your interest. I hope that I can count on your support, and may we all find what we seek.
See, when I tell you that It's Dice and Zero Means You're Dead are like the most metal RPG shows on the internet, you can believe it. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for providing that for us so we can showcase that. And you can see Jesse was much better at telling you about that than I would have been. Okay, so next up, Neon Odyssey. let me just tackle this one real quick. By Legends of Enchantress. If nothing else, you need to check out the music video on the Kickstarter page. Trust me, you do. I didn't get a chance to load it up here so we could have seen it. Neon Odyssey is a 1,400 plus page trilogy that brings space opera to D&D 5.5e. So that would be D&D 2024, the most recent version of the system. And that would be the 5.2 SRD and Creative Commons. Drawing up inspiration from legendary sci-fi films, retro video games, classic animation, Cowboy Bebop, pop culture nostalgia, and more, written published by the creators of the Crooked Moon, launch into a space adventure with galactic jam tools in a colorful cosmic campaign setting, or suit up with an astral arsenal of player options to soar among the stars. For the purposes of just so you know how well it's going for Neon Odyssey, don't worry, we'll get to Dungeon Crawl here in a second. But Neon Odyssey currently as of right this moment is at 9 million and change. We're always happy to see indie creators getting generational worth, although 9 million probably doesn't go as far as you think it does. So if you still, if that sounds exciting to you, or you just like supporting indies, definitely, don't think that, oh, they have 9.4 million, they should be good. Yeah, I'm sure they can be good, but these are salaries, these are paying for freelancers. This is, trust me, I'm sure that video is expensive when you see it. So all the support they need, all the support they can get, as do all of these folks, right? These are indie creators aren't all making it rich, but yeah, Neon Odyssey 5.5e space opera, check it out. Okay, next we have Squad Games, and it's by Jamie Edmondson. And Jamie is thrilled to introduce you to his latest novel, Squad Games. It's a tactical lit RPG series offering a unique take on the genre. Not the first lit RPG crowdfunder we'll talk about tonight. A mercenary captain must build a squad from the most inept mercs imaginable and turn it into an efficient fighting force. A mission-driven storyline featuring a turn-based combat system influenced by games like Jagged Alliance, that's a deep cut, which I approve, Battle Brothers, War Tales, and XCOM. Yeah, XCOM's a lot of fun. A gritty medieval fantasy setting where competence counts and the consequences of failure is often death, as opposed to getting the plague or something like that. Diverse and engaging characters trying to survive another day in a ruthless world. So if that sounds exciting, check out Squad Games on Kickstarter. All right. Oh, next up, another one that I'm very happy to see about. I have to grow. I know I did wrong. So let me grab the image file here. There it is. First image file I made. One I forgot to add on. Okay, Symbaroum. If you are a fan of Symbaroum or Dark Scandinavian games, 10 years after its international launch, the celebrated Symbaroum RPG is ready to shed its emerald shimmering skin. While keeping a standalone all-in-one rulebook, the content of the current 4 core books, Core Rules, Advanced Player's Guide, Game Master's Guide, and Monster Codex, will be rearranged into 3 volumes and gently revised to smooth out the edges and make the material more user-friendly. Should be noted, this is not in the reading, but it should be noted that Symbaroum doesn't use Pre-League's Year Zero engine, nor does it use the Dragon Bane engine or Morport. The Symbaroum Anniversary Kickstarter will be launched on May 19th, so you have a few days to save up your pennies. 2026, and you can sign up to follow the project here in the link. The main attractions of the campaign are 4 hardcover volumes in English, richly illustrated by Martin Grip and Gustav Eklund. More information on featured items will be presented in the launch. I love Symbaroum. That's one of my favorite fantasy games. It's dark, obviously, or I wouldn't be playing it, right? So, yeah, I think I've had a lot of fun running it. I think you'll enjoy this revised version. Okay. All right. Now we're to the backer kits. Okay. Green Ronin, Wardens of the Blue Rose. If you're familiar with Blue Rose game system, it's related to that. Wardens of the Blue Rose is a role-playing game that takes place in the Kingdom of Aldous, the default setting to previous games in fiction under the Blue Rose banner. Unlike previous Blue Rose games, Wardens of the Blue Rose is designed as a GM-optional, solo-friendly role-playing game, focused on the adventures of young heroes as they try to make their home, Aldous, a better place. It is about showing up to do the hard things that help everyone. It's about meeting new people and discovering common compassion as a thread that binds diverse people. That's something that's always been in the Blue Rose design. This is a game, I wouldn't necessarily, I guess it's romantic, but I think in the best way, right? And it's a game about positivity, and something I recommend to folks who want other than the murdery, hobo-y stuff. Right? I get it. I love my dark fantasy, my gritty sword sorcery, but I realize that there's a place for all sorts of preferences, right, in role-playing games. That's the whole point of it, right? That's why we love indie companies and individuals doing their thing. So yeah, check out Blue Rose. Highly recommend. Okay, so the one you have to talk about, but it's okay. It's fellow indie author. All right, so hello, crawlers. This isn't your typical crowdfunding campaign. I believe I talked about it last month. 2 full tabletop games launching together: the official Dungeon Crawler Curl RPG, a full skill-based TTRPG set in the brutal televised world dungeon, and Dungeon Crawler Call Unstoppable, solo and co-op card crafting deck builder. Both games are fully licensed adaptations of Matt Dinniman's best-selling dungeon crawler Corallo series, brought to the table by Renegade Game Studios. Renegade has a long history of good games, and we're on book 8 of Dungeon Crawler Corallo, so I don't think Matt's world is going anywhere. So actually, this is going to be relevant to what I'm about to say. So when I tell you that Dungeon Crawler Corallo has made over $11 million, I think this is a great point from Pretty Nerdy. Most of that money goes towards making a thing, yes. Fulfilling it, making it, making sure that all the people are paid. It's a lot. It sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. But just remember, right? None of these people, I don't think, have a big corporation behind them to absorb losses, right? It's transformational, but not as transformational as you might imagine. And Amber, we appreciate you bringing that point up. So, last one, and this is kind of cool. Let me grab our image. All right. The Witches RPG is back. Let me go ahead and just read what we have here. Directly from the backer kit. This, by the way, this is the Witches RPG's Lust Sabbath. Yes, I said Lust, and Last Sabbath Omnibus. Is part of the Tabletop Tavern, which is a project running from May 7th to 28th, 2026. The project itself has raised over $98,000 and has 2,300 plus backers. The Lust Sabbath Witches RPGs has funded, and they are currently at 32,000 euros. I'm not going to do the conversion for you. But basically, you get a brand new standalone companion. This is Lust Sabbath, built on the Last Sabbath award-winning game system, inviting you to discover its most dangerous temptations. Play as a succubus, sex witches, sanguine sisters, or goth nuns. In this standalone, tarot-driven RPG, tarot is continuing its strong showing in RPG systems. Powered by the Last Sabbath system, explore erotic narratives in magic with a unique BDSM mistressful game. B for boundaries, D for deceit, S for secret, M for mask, from 1 to 7 players. They say it's perfect for couples. In addition, you're getting the Last Sabbath Omnibus Edition. Its award-winning Witches RPG is back in its most complete form ever, gathering the core game and restored extras in one definitive edition. And there we go. That is your news and crowdfunding for May 2026. Give me a moment here, and I'll give you what you really came for. And not just because she's in the audience. This is a fantastic interview. I had a great time. I think you're going to really enjoy it. And I give you Amber M. Davies and myself talking about stuff. My interviewee today is Amber M. Davies from Pretty Nerdy. Amber, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I love being on the other side of these things.
How often are you on this side of things?
Well, I had a year or two of podcasting. However, I also had to do the video editing side of it, which if you've ever edited videos, it can be time consuming. And it took away from the writing and game design. So I basically had to kind of drop doing that until I could find a way to, video edit better or have it automated or so yeah. This is fun. I love being on this side of the interview.
Awesome. Yep. That's why I think Joe and I work pretty good as a team. I actually did video editing for a living for a while.
Did you?
But yes, I worked for an AV company, a small AV company in Maryland. It was a good experience, and reinforced how much I love the Mac as a platform for this kind of thing, for video editing and things like that.
Yeah.
Not for gaming, not for writing, but for specifically for graphics and video was perfect.
I am a Mac user myself as well for those reasons.
Makes sense. So we always talk, or always ask a little bit about how a person got into role playing in the first place. So how did you start rolling dice?
Boy, okay. It really started with having a group of friends who said, we do this thing. We play D&D. I think this was back with 3E. And a friend of mine, he was the forever DM, if you will. And he worked a job. I can't quite remember what job he did, but it was definitely like a blue collar job where he was working odd hours. And he was like, why don't you show up at my job site? And while I have some downtime, we can roll up your character. We can talk about what this means, what it looks like. And I was just intrigued from a storytelling standpoint, because before being introduced to tabletop role playing, I was very much in like a creative headspace. I tried to start writing at a very young age. So the idea of playing a character that I created and kind of being on the inside of this story that was being created, that really intrigued me. So we rolled up a character, and from the very first game was just sold. I mean, now this is back in the day when we could play, like, it was like 6 at night and we would play all the way until like 6 in the morning and then proceed to go to work the next day.
Right.
And I was a young mom. So boy, I had a lot of energy back then. But I was sold into it. Loved it.
So your first game was Dungeons and Dragons, or a version of Dungeons and Dragons?
It was. It took me a while actually to branch out from D&D because that was all that I knew. The group of friends that I had that played, that was all we were playing. I know that my DM, he had exposure to other types of games. GURPS is one I remember him saying a lot about, and since the majority knew D&D, that was what we played. It wasn't until, you know, Critical Role became popular, and then me really seeing, like, I mean, because my friends were the only exposure I had to D&D, so you kind of think like this is just how it is until you see other people playing it, other people running it, and realizing that there's this whole other world out there of how you can run a game, how you can role play, how you can build a character, learning that there are other systems out there, learning that, you know, this system might tailor more to, you know, this type of role play or this type of wargaming, and so it really was just the lack of exposure, and then having my eyes opened to like the world of YouTube and Twitch and all the other things that you can do with it.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite game now that you play?
Ooh, okay. Well, when we talk about playing, we still are playing in D&D. However, because our core group, we've been playing now for, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years, the same campaign of D&D. And when we can't get together because life happens, we're old enough now and we're at a stage of our lives where, you know, we have kids or we have rotating shift work jobs and all this stuff. So we will try to plan for when everybody plays. But if we're missing one or two people, then we end up getting together and we tend to play test other games, other systems. And so personally, I'm torn. Because I am a very huge horror fan and I love Call of Cthulhu. I love that impending sense of dread that just overtakes you. And I love going into the game with the mindset of how is my character going to die? Because I want it to be glorious. And so that to me is exciting and I love that. But the mechanics are very different than D&D. And that's okay. It's a different, you have to kind of think about it differently. And really, to me, the mechanics are off to the side. It's more tertiary when it comes to playing Call of Cthulhu. Now, when it comes to mechanics, we've recently play tested Draw Steel. And now here's the thing. Anything that I say right now is coming from a player perspective. I have not run it. But playtesting Draw Steel, the mechanics are so intriguing to me when you come from the mindset of something like, I've done D&D 3E, 3.5, some crunchy mechanics. We kind of bypassed 4. There was a little bit of, on 4, and then 5E. And to me, coming from that kind of history arc of playing, 5E feels very mechanics light until I start meeting people who they came from a much earlier, version of D&D. And
Right.
then they're having me introduce them to 5e, and they're like, I don't understand how you get all this. There is so much. Like in a turn, it's like, oh, you can do this and you can do that. Wait, and you can also do this. How do you keep track of it all? And so their minds are blown, and they think from their perspective that 5e is so like the mechanics are just so bloated, over bloated. So I found it very interesting when we play tested Draw Steel. I love it. I love the mechanics because it feels to me like they have taken some of the things from 5e that are problematic or that just don't make sense. And the changes that they have made, to me, they make sense. I'm hearing a lot of mixed feedback from other people, but I really enjoyed playing Draw Steel. So I'm very excited to try to run it and get the other perspective, the other side of the screen, and see if my feelings about it change. But right now, if I'm going to say when it comes to mechanics, Draw Steel it's super intriguing. I don't know if I can say it's my favorite yet because I haven't played it enough yet, but
Right.
it blew my mind the first time I played it. Just blew my mind.
Is there one piece of the mechanics in particular that you really liked? I mean, I was skeptical at first because I admit I'm both old and an old school guy, so I like the hit and armor, et cetera, dynamic. But once I saw you roll 2 dice and you always hit, you're always doing damage, you're always, for the most part, right? That's not 100% true, but mostly that is the case, right? You're always sort of succeeding, even on a tier 1 result. I found that to probably be my most intriguing part of it.
I did like that. It's not just about, oh, well, you always hit. It's about this feeling that even at level 1, your character can feel epic and useful. I think that's the most important thing. I mean, I don't know too many people who play D&D that if they're going to play a long form campaign, they actually start at level 1. Almost everybody I know, they skip all that and they go to like level 3 or level 4. Why? Because they get to do more of the impactful mechanics. They get to, already be fleshed out and not feel like a weakling at level 1. And I feel like with Draw Steel, it bypasses all of that. And at level 1, I will tell you, so my level 1 character, the first time I played, I didn't even get to do all the things that my character could do. And we played a standard, like 4 to 6 hour session. Like that's wild, and to also feel like in a combat situation where almost the entire session was a combat, that I wasn't left with the feeling of, well, I can't do anything else, so I guess I'll hit, like that's the kind of feeling you get at level 1. And I never felt like that. It was like, oh my gosh, can I do this? Oh, wait, I can do this. Oh, this feels really cool too. What if I did this? That was really interesting. There's also this mechanic, and it's so weird. Some of these things are kind of tied to each other. But what I loved about the combat mechanics and at level 1 is that there are, I guess, maneuvers. There's different tiers of maneuvers, right? There's like consider like your tier 1 power, your tier 2 power, your tier 3 power, right? Your tier 1 being like your standard attacks, tier 2 being like medium hit attacks, and then tier 3 is like, you're going to use a lot of, points to do this, but it's going to be pretty powerful. So there are mechanics built around what other people, your teammates are doing, or even what the enemy is doing. So if someone on my team kicks off a tier 2 ability, everybody's reactions are different. If you're gonna align this with D&D, so it forced the person at our table who is constantly on their phone and just waiting for their turn. It forced them to pay attention, and I wouldn't say forced. They wanted to pay attention. And that was for 2 different sessions, right? They paid attention the entire session. They were like, wait, oh, did somebody do this? Oh, guess what? I get to do this now. So I found that to be really intriguing because people didn't feel like they were just sitting around waiting for what can I do? When can I do it? So all that feels a little tied together. But all that to say, even though that may have been what you found intriguing, what I found the most intriguing was that when it comes to most combat that I have experienced in other TTRPGs, there's some form of an initiative, and then there's a ranking of like who goes in what order, and the DM may control a few different pods of enemies, if you will, but they have to kind of stick to this order, and there could be 2 to 5 player turns before the DM gets to go. And so there's that sense of, okay, I've just finished my turn. I have, I don't know, 6 different turns that other people are doing. I have that long to figure out what I'm going to do next. And so they kind of partially check out. And then and they may check back in when the DM's taking their turn, and it's like, oh no, things are happening to me. Okay, woof, made it. All right, now I have a couple more turns to figure out what I'm going to do. In Draw Steel, the initiative, everybody rolls initiative, but then it's like there's this alternating pattern of, okay, well, you rolled the highest, so you get to go first. Now it alternates back to the players, and the GM gets to go again. Then it alternates back to the players, and the GM gets to go again. And what ends up happening on the battlefield, it is way more dynamic. And that thing that you thought you were going to do when your turn comes around next, like in any other game I've played in, you're like, okay, here's my battle plan. Here's plan A. Oh, but this could happen. But if that happens, then here's my plan B. And usually they've got it figured out, and they just sit there and they wait for their turn. You can't do that with Draw Steel, because you take your turn, then the DM goes, and then another player, and then the DM. And it ends up becoming so much more dynamic that the thing you thought you were going to do, you really can't plan ahead. You have to kind of wait until maybe the turn before your turn to figure out if you can do the thing you want to do.
Right.
Also, I'm sorry, I'm going to keep cut in if you because I have so many thoughts. But
they're not here to hear me talk.
What ended up happening because of this was there was so much more collaboration at the table, because we knew that, like, well, if I do this, it kicks off your reaction. And if you do this, it kicks off their reaction, which they can do at any time. So if you plan ahead and you collaborate with your teammates, even though there's an alternating players and DM, you could still have like 3 player turns before the DM happens if you plan right and you talk with each other and you say, well, if I do this tier 2 ability, it kicks off your reaction, which is a tier 1 ability, which kicks off that person's reaction, and we get to transport that person from this point in the map to this point in the map. So it was the most dynamic game I have ever played, and just blew my mind.
Hey, did you get a chance to do a negotiation or a montage in either of the sessions?
I don't believe so. I think with our next game we were talking about there would be a montage. But yeah, I if they have played that game, that might have been one of the ones that I haven't made it because we have alternating schedules.
Right.
Yeah. But have you? I would love to hear about this.
I have not been able to run or play that. I'll probably end up running. I'm sort of a director for life, as they say, or DM for life, or GM for life.
GM, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I haven't had the chance to do the montage or negotiation yet. So I'm looking forward to running both of those and seeing how they pan out and see how they resonate with the players as well.
Right.
So do you think that, just on your impression, were the sessions, I think better is probably not the right term, but there's something extra to the fact that everyone was sort of locked in, paying attention, riffing off of everyone else at the table, that elevated the sessions?
Oh, yes. Now, here's the thing. I mean, I have to go back and say, like, we are friends who have been friends for over 20 years and playing the same campaign together, for over 10 years. So we know each other well, and that may lend itself to some of this, like, additional, like, how we collaborate well together and talk to each other, and so that may make a difference, rather than us being like new people at a table that don't know each other very well. But I think for our style of gameplay, it definitely heightened it. I mean, again, we have that one friend who's always on the phone, and that was to me the most impressive thing. I'm like, if you can get that guy off that phone, this means something, and it means everybody is bought in, and we're all paying attention. Which, I mean, I can't imagine anybody who wouldn't want that feeling at a table.
Oh, for sure, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
You know, and there's always talk about the role playing and the story, and the probably, I think, for some people, the non-combat bits, the non-tactical bits, things like that. Does that take you out of quote unquote the narrative, or do you feel like it immerses you better in what's going on? Or do you have an opinion on that?
So let me make sure I understand. So are you asking if like the quote unquote crunchiness of the mechanics, does that take away from the role play at all?
Yes.
Okay. Well, considering that, we're still kind of in playtest mode, we kind of try to like break this system, and we're not fully bought into these characters. Like, we actually come prepared with a couple characters, knowing that if this character dies, we're just going to pick up another character and go with it. No big deal. They just show up in the middle of this dungeon and no one cares why, So, from that perspective, I mean, it does, but I do believe that if we decided we're getting ready to wrap up this, 10 plus year long campaign that we've been playing from the very beginning all the way to level 20. And so we're thinking about the next game, the next campaign, and what system we're going to be using. Half of our group is already bought in. They're like, draw steel is it. This is the one we're using. And I can see that if we actually invest in this as a long-term campaign, that I don't think it would harm the role play at all. I think in the very beginning, for sure, there's a lot. It's foreign. It feels very foreign to D&D, even though for someone who has experienced multiple versions of D&D and or Pathfinder and or similar systems, even though I don't know how to explain this. To me, it feels like those systems, but they have fixed the things that are wrong with those systems. And yet, when we play it, it feels very foreign from playing D&D because of that, because it addresses those things that are so different. So I feel like people coming in could it will feel like it hurts the role play because there's a lot to think about, because it is so foreign. And I got to remember that if this person does this, I can do this. I got to remember, there's a lot of new things to remember.
Right.
And so I think if you can get past that feeling, I don't think we would have any problem with getting to experience role play. If anything, I feel like it would heighten it because we feel more useful from the beginning, we can do more from the beginning. I feel like with D&D, for me, when we start at low levels, we almost lean on roleplay as a crutch because we can't do the other cool things, right? But now you can do cool things and roleplay, and maybe you could tie them together. So I think I would be very excited to see how that feels. So I guess I don't really have an opinion on that yet. We haven't quite used it for, leaning towards more roleplay, but I don't foresee a problem. Let's say that.
Awesome. Excellent. Yeah, I kind of imagine for me that if you look at Daggerheart and Critical Role, which came out the same year, they're both from very popular, one from obviously a popular actual play, and other, originated in Matt Colville's Running the Game series. I think that that both of them have sort of taken a step to the left, right? They're a little bit off center from what D&D was, and I suspect if there's ever a second edition of either game, we'll see them go even further away from 5e. That's my prediction. I don't know if it'll ever be true. I hope that they stick with these first editions for a while, and not fall into that same trap, right? That let's get a second edition real quick. Yeah, and I suspect we won't. But no, excellent. Thank you. I appreciate you giving your opinion on actually playing Draw Steel.
Yeah. I was going to say, fantastic. Can I add one thing though? Because I always try to not provide opinions that are all one-sided. Like, it's just great. It's great. Everybody, it's great. Get it. It's great. Like, there is a downside to it for me. Again, coming from the player perspective, not the GM perspective, but creating the character, that definitely felt crunchy. And there was this online tool that you can use, like Forge Steel, that's what it was called. Without that online assistance, I don't think that I would have been able to create a character just by reading the book and the manual. That part was definitely, even with the tool, there I felt like I had to spend a good day in that online tool, just kind of playing around with things to understand how toggling this affects this. And then if I select this, and then I get to, like, you know how when you do character creation, it's like, oh, you're going to select your race or your class first, or your species, whatever you want to call it. And then that kind of impacts, well, but these are good at these, so maybe I should lean into these kind of classes or these kind of abilities. And then you realize what you've created is like, well, that doesn't really work, because if I want to do this, oh, this looks like a really fun class, but then maybe I should have gone back and do, this species or this race or this subclass. So there was a lot of tweaking to kind of understand how everything impacts what you're going to get to do as a character. Without that online tool, I just don't think I would have gotten there. So that to me is a little bit of a con. It was very crunchy character creation.
Right. Makes sense. No, and it's good to know, right? If you're the kind of player who just prefers to sit down and write down 3 numbers and get on your way, that might be something that you're not interested in. But if you ever created a Rollmaster character, then this would probably be just fine for you.
Right.
So, awesome. Excellent. So I wanted to talk to you about the crews that you are helping to create, support.
Yes.
So that's kind of a gamer cruise, right?
It is a TTRPG cruise, Traveling Dragon tabletop cruise. I believe this is, don't quote me, 2nd or 3rd year. I don't know. But I know the organizer of the event, who runs, there's a haunted tabletop event in October. And then they do like summer camps for kids throughout the year, which I love helping with. So this is my first year joining as a host GM on the Traveling Dragon tabletop cruise. We leave out of LA August 3rd, and then we travel to Ensenada, Mexico, and we come back August 7th. And so what I'm so excited about is I talk on my channels a lot, just advocating for gaming conventions, because it was such a big eye opener for me going to my first gaming convention and realizing all the resources I had available. Like, especially now when games cost, especially if you're, buying the big box board games, they are so expensive. So going to a convention, it's like you could spend the same amount of money and play a million games that you never have to own, or learn how to play a bunch of systems, even if you're new, that they're all there to help you play these games. It's just amazing. So to imagine doing that on the ocean, going to beautiful Ensenada, Mexico in August. I'm very excited about this. I hope people sign up. Think about it this way, right? Like, some people, my son included, might be graduating high school, and that would make just such a great graduation present, is like, hey, before you go to college, enjoy this tabletop cruise. Sure. We have so the organizer of the event and the main host GM, his name is Dax Levine, and he is, if you Google it, there is a world record breaking D&D game that happened in Utah, Provo, Utah. So he is the DM of that event. So he is a world record breaking D&D DM. Then we also have a New York Times bestselling author, horror author, who is also a game master. He is also, I believe, part of Brotherwise Games, which is Brandon Sanderson's like gaming sector. And so he will be on the cruise. And then there's me, and which I am in the gaming industry. I am publishing some games. I have some writing, contributed to Paizo's Pathfinder Lost Omens High Seas, which I did learn they are releasing in July, and the cruise is in August. So I do plan to do a high seas adventure on the high seas, which would be so cool. And it's writing that I've contributed to Pathfinder. But I also have writing contributed to Kobold Press and to GUI Cube. So I am starting to, make a career in the tabletop industry as a game writer, game designer. And I'm very excited, very proud to be involved with it. Looking forward to meeting so many people on the cruise. And
that sounds fantastic.
I should say this right now because they have not told me to stop saying it. But there is a code. But if you use the code Amber 150, that's AMBER, my name, 150, then you get $150 off of your cruise ticket.
That's fantastic. Which cruise line is it on?
I believe it is on Royal Caribbean. Let me take a look. Quantum of the Seas, Port of Los Angeles, and it is I should know. Royal Caribbean's Quantum of the Seas. Yes, that's what I thought.
Awesome.
Okay.
Excellent. So how much writing have you done to shift to something you just mentioned? How much writing have you done for other companies? You mentioned Paizo, you mentioned Cobalt Press.
Right. I mean, those are the three main. I have some other projects in the works. I've essentially spent this year focusing on publishing some of my own works because when it comes to creative industries and being a freelance writer, it helps if you have some of your own writing in the bank to be able to provide as like look, here's what I can give you, but because I've already gotten some freelance writing out with TTRPG companies, I can at least point to those. But I really wanted to have a few things of my own out this year. So I'm currently working on I don't want to say too much, but it is a very deadly dungeon based off of the Tomb of Horrors. Tomb of Horrors meets 70s International Spy. Let's just say that.
That sounds fantastic.
So that is, I'm very excited about that. That one I'm working on in conjunction with MagmaCon, which is an online virtual convention happening in July. So people will get to playtest that essentially at MagmaCon, which I created because MagmaCon. So and then the other one is it was supposed to be based off of like Great British Bake Off. It has since morphed after a few playtests where I found that people were leaning more towards chaos and less towards the cozy aspect. So I was like, oh, this is not going to be a cozy baking adventure. This is going to be a chaotic baking competition. Got it. Okay. So playtesters like to lean towards that. So those are the two that are near completion. And then I have a holiday horror that will go out this year. So once I get those three out, then I start working on my first novel, which I'm very excited about. Yes.
Well, I hope that you will continue to keep us updated on that, because you're going to be, many of us are novelists or writers, and obviously we're always happy to help and to support new novelists as well. So for sure.
Well, thank you. I actually started, so it's a little early. I started this Twitch stream because I now do these things. I started doing them in my server where I type, I'll share my screen. And even though I'm not sharing exactly what I'm working on, just the thought of being in a room where people could be watching me work forced me to be creative, and it starts putting me in this co-working or body doubling mindset for those who use those terms. So absolutely. I started streaming actually on Twitch to do that just a few weeks ago, in the hopes that I kind of iron out those kinks. So right now when I stream, I'm really just streaming about my game design. I'm sharing my screen-ish, but like I don't want to give away any spoilers, so people aren't actually seeing what I'm working on. They're seeing like a filtered screen. But so once I'm done designing and publishing those 3 games that I mentioned, then I'm going to start streaming me writing my first novel. Because again, that motivation of knowing people are watching me do this. It's on the interwebs. People are watching me write. I have to produce a novel. So I'm hoping that eventually starts in the fall. So for anybody who's interested in, writing streams or writing sprints, creative sprints, body doubling, that's what my Twitch channel is for right now.
Okay, absolutely. Well, definitely we'll get a link from you. We'll put that up in the description for the upcoming show.
Thank you.
That way folks can watch you while you work.
Yes, exactly. I know. Well, hey, I would say it's not like riveting, except that I also have a French bulldog who likes to join me on my lap, and people like looking at him. So,
For sure. Yeah. But people love pets and pet interruptions in streams and things like
of course.
that. So that's always a bonus.
I'm, if you guys hear any snoring in the background, that's him. I don't want to wake him up, but yeah, he's right here.
So let folks know where they can find you on the interwebs. And again, we'll have those links in the description as well.
Yes. So honestly, the easiest place is I have a link tree that links to everything that I have done, all of my channels, my Discord, my Twitch, my Instagram, my Facebook, all of the things, and also connects you to, other interviews that I have done, the writing that I have contributed to Gooey Cube, Paizo, all those links to those products, audio dramas, things of that nature. So the link tree will take you everywhere. However, if you just Google, most of my socials are all Perty Nerdy, PERTY Nerdy. So if you search on that, you should be able to find me on pretty much all the socials. I'm not on X. I mean, I am, but not active on there anymore.
Yeah.
Threads is also another one that's like, it's really hard for me to like really be active there just because there's so many socials. But yeah, that's how you can find me.
Amber, thank you so much for being here with us on Zero Means You're Dead today. Really appreciate you coming on, especially on short notice. I definitely appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for inviting me. I love talking about this stuff. I could do it for hours.
If you don't mind, we'll probably have you back on after the cruise because we'll definitely want to hear how that went.
Oh, yes. That would be great. I would love that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here, and we will talk to you later.
Where am I at? There we go. I want to thank everybody in the chat, and I want to thank everybody who's going to be watching this in the future. Definitely appreciate you stopping by. Amber, you were fantastic. So thank you so much for gracing us. And we will definitely have Amber back after the cruise because we want to hear all about how it went. All right. So like and subscribe, punch that like button and subscribe button like they were bad people trying to tear your country down from the inside. Next month, we will have some more slight changes, I think. We're probably going to go ahead and separate some of the information, kind of like we did today. The crowdfunding for indie shows, indie games, and books will be one part of the show, and we may even do a convention section as well. If you are going to convention, or you are running a convention, or you know about a convention that features RPGs and hopefully primarily indie creators, let us know, and we'll get that up here on Zero Means You're Dead. I want to thank Amber and Davies for being my guest and also providing a lot of content for today. That's what I very much appreciate. I want to appreciate everyone out there who's doing the legwork and the journalism and writing articles about RPGs in general, and obviously indie RPGs and their creators in particular. And hold on. There we go. Thank you for putting up with my somewhat mediocre production habits. But I absolutely appreciate you being here. I want to say to you, have a great day, have a great week, have a great month. We'll see you on Zero Means You're Dead in another month or so. Also, check out the other shows here on Go Indie Now. This Week in Indies. We will also have Zero Exposition next Monday, where I talk to Lily Chasey about writing. And Joe has a few other shows this week, so check us out. We are very high content right now. we'll be going strong to the end of July, taking a little bit break in August, although this show won't take a break in August. And but otherwise, yes. I'll also let you know that next Monday coming up, for those of you who love it, the 18th, we're getting back into Hit the Dice, right after Zero Exposition. And Hit the Dice will be playing another session of Cryptid Capture Core with, hopefully, so we're going to get it done, the Pokemoke Forest, Goat Head, and Hook Hands creatures. So, hope you're doing okay. Try to have a good week. And remember, it is always time to go indie now.